Yo, what's up guys? You got pokeaim here with a video on Pokemon Sword and Shield, and in this video I will be discussing a buff to an old move, and it's actually a pretty crazy buff to an old move, as well as some pretty interesting TMs that we have. Now, if you consider that stuff spoilers, do not watch this video, otherwise stay tuned and enjoy the video. So, the old move that has been buffed, and this move is crazy already, is Rapid Spin. Now, for those of you that don't know about competitive Pokemon, Rapid Spin is basically a move that is used to get rid of hazards. Hazards being Stealth Rock, Toxic Spikes, and Sticky Web. And these are all, very, very common. Hazards are super common in competitive Pokemon. The buff that Rapid Spin has received, is that not only does it Rapid Spin, but it gives the Pokemon +1 speed as well after going for Rapid Spin. That is an insane buff to Rapid Spin. Rapid Spin before was just a really weak move that had a great side effect in competitive Pokemon, and now it has an incredible side effect. And I already told you guys that Excadrill is going to be a top tier threat in this metagame. You don't even have to know the meta. You just got to see what's around, right? To know that Excadrill is going to be a giant threat. There's no Landorus, no Gliscor, no Celesteela, no Zapdos, right? These checks are not around for Excadrill, so it's already going to be a giant threat. But now a Rapid Spin set on itself might not even need Sandstorm to be a problem, right? We potentially can just see like a Swords Dance, Earthquake, Iron Head, Rapid Spin set in itself, and once it goes for spin, that boy gets +1 speed. Obviously, that's an incredible buff for Excadrill. We already know that Excadrill is going to, or we assume that Excadrill is going to be a top tier threat in itself just because of the lack of answers for it in the meta. But the fact that Rapid Spin gives a speed buff is crazy, and I think that's pretty cool. We have a lot of the we have a lot of the Rapid Spinners here. There's also like a Delibird and maybe some other not as incredible Pokemon that are added to this list, but I think Serena is another Pokemon that kind of takes advantage of this. It has pretty mediocre speed, but a great attack stat and strong moves like Play Rough and High Jump Kick and Power Whip. So Serena being able to be an offensive Rapid Spinner, I think this would be so cool for Draft League as well, because it'll be a lot harder to revenge kill, and especially being a Rapid Spinner that can go for potentially U-turn as well. Like, not only can it spin as you go out into your answer for it. Let's say your answer for Serena was a Gengar, right? It was a Gengar. It's a non-Scarf Gengar. It's already confirmed non-Scarf. Okay, not Gengar, because Gengar spin blocks. Let's say it was... That's actually a really good example of a bad example. But let's say your answer to it was a fire type that is just a little bit faster than Serena naturally, right? But it also happens to be weak to fighting or something like that, right? If I go for Rapid Spin and they bring out their fire type, and then I go for High Jump Kick, after I'm now faster because of my Rapid Spin prior, and I can knock it out with High Jump Kick. That's just an example of how a Rapid Spin could definitely work. And obviously Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, Hitmontop all get it. Dhelmise, Avalok, Cloyster should get it. Again, Claydol. What else? There's Delibird that also gets it. I think there's a few more that might get it, but I think these were the big ones that came to mind. Just getting a speed boost, especially like on a Pokemon like Dhelmise. Dhelmise isn't very fast, but in the tier that Dhelmise is ran in currently, which is NU and sometimes RU, it's just barely outsped by certain offensive threats. But after Rapid Spinning, right, if you're running an offensive, just a straight up offensive one, being able to be faster than the bulkier threats and outspeeding them and threatening with your strong moves like Power Whip, Earthquake, Anchor Shot respectively is just so cool. Not to mention, this is such a buff with the fact that the item I talked about the other day, if you guys didn't hear about it, but the Heavy Boots, the fact that the item basically prevents you from taking hazard damage, the Heavy Duty Boots, is so cool for another Pokemon that has already been officially revealed and was shown today that actually had Rapid Spin, and that's Eldegoss. Well, technically it was Gossifleur that was shown in the clip that showed that Rapid Spin is, and this wasn't officially revealed, this was just somebody like streaming the game, but it showed that they went for Rapid Spin and they got their speed boost. So the fact that Gossifleur gets it means obviously Eldegoss gets it, and I think this is pretty big for a Rapid Spinner that has Regenerator and now can also run the Heavy Duty Boots. And what that means is basically when hazards are up and it comes in, and again, we're assuming this is how This is how the heavy-duty boots will work, right? You won't take any hazard damage because it says these boots prevent the effects of traps set on the battlefield, right? So imagine being a rapid spinner, a bulky rapid spinner that has Regenerator. If you guys didn't know, Regenerator recovers 33% every single time you come back in, and or you switch out, and then we come back in, you have that 33%, and not taking hazard damage. Being able to rapid spin, and then still going from there, just being able to do that all game without taking hazard damage, and I think that's so cool. Getting a speed boost to be able to get on out of there if this thing learns U-turn. To be able to get on out of there and basically get away like scot-free. That's so cool. So I think that's awesome on a Regenerator Pokemon like a Rapid Spin. I love that. Heavy Duty Boots plus Rapid Spin. I think that's something we might end up seeing. Now, the next thing I want to talk about was potentially, well, I want to talk about TMs and technical records. Now, if you guys didn't know, TMs are like moves that you can teach your Pokemon, and they look like little discs. I don't know if they still look like discs, but back in the day they looked like discs. I haven't actually been paying too much attention whenever I click on them when I play the games. Not that I'm not playing Sword and Shield yet, but I'm talking about just in general, right? I just remember Fire Red, Leaf Green, they look like discs. But there's also technical records, which I think are a reference to old school TMs. And if you guys didn't know, back in the day, TMs used to basically break after you taught them. So you use a CD, you'd stick it on your Pokemon or whatever, you'd teach the Pokemon a move, and then the TM would break, and that's it. You wouldn't have that TM. So let's say you used it for TM Ice Beam. You teach Ice Beam to your Starmie. After that, the TM would break, Starmie learns Ice Beam. That's it. You'd either have to get another TM if you could buy it, or that'd be it, right? But they fixed that when they made TMs unlimited uses. But now it looks like they have technical records, which are, they have technical records alongside TMs, and it looks like they're just basically like move tutors that like go away as well. But we have a few interesting ones. And I'm only going to be talking about 3, but then I'll be naming a few more. And I would love to know your guys' thoughts on, especially if you know which Pokemon are around in the game. I would love to know your guys' thoughts on them. So the first one is Close Combat is a technical record. So it's like TM or whatever they're considered, a TR. It's a technical record, and that means that a lot of Pokemon that might not have had access to it before could have access to it now. And I put a few on the board, but Beware is one that had to basically either use Sewer Power, Drain Punch, or Hammer Arm respectively. But going for Close Combat with this beast, it's a strong move. And obviously, you compare it to a move like Sewer Power, which lowers your attack and defense. Yeah, Close Combat lowers your Spadef and defense, but you're not lowering your attack, so you can spam it. And it's not like Hammer Arm, it's not lowering your speed, so there's very little drawback in that, besides your defenses, obviously. But like, it's not a drawback that will make you slower than your opponent, which is why it's better than Hammer Arm. So Beware, Pangoro, Conkeldurr, Scrafty, Toxicroak, Throw are all potential, I think, are all potential recipients for that. And just in terms of offensive power, it can definitely boost them. Now, Unfezant, who has somehow made it into this game, is also a Pokemon that I hope gets Close Combat. Let me talk about this Pokemon. It kind of sucks, all right? It kind of sucks. If that's your favorite Pokemon, my bad. But, I mean, if that's your favorite Pokemon, you already knew. But Unfezant doesn't really have a lot going for it, right? It has the Super Luck ability, which some people like to use with, like, Scope Lens. And then they use, like, and Scope Lens, if you guys didn't know, it raises the crit chance, and you use like Night Slash. This mon has like no moves. This mon has no moves. This mon kind of sucks, right? It does kind of suck, but like it doesn't even have like flying type attacks. It doesn't learn Brave Bird. It uses like Pluck, U-turn and return, right? And then you try and use like try and crit your opponent, and that's about it, right? But if this thing got Close Combat, it might actually be solid, right? It might actually be okay. Not even, I don't want to say solid, because I think solid is too strong of a word for Unfezant, but it might be decent. It might actually be decent with it will be better than it is now. Okay, I keep like overlooking my words, but it will be better than it is now if it does have Close Combat, because it actually gives it a way of dealing with Steel types and Rock types, which you guys know, flying resist, and yeah, so and also normal resist. So that'd be pretty cool. I also put Weavile here. Honestly, this is kind of like a pipe dream. This ain't gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna get Close Combat, but I mean, Weavile likes to get up close in your face and fight. It's when I think of a Pokemon that is actually like in your face, I do think of Weavile a lot. And Weavile already has access to both Low Kick, Low Sweep, and Brick Break. So just go all the way. See, Low Kick is good. Low Kick is good because it can basically be potentially It could potentially be close combat's base power at 120, depending on how heavy the opponent is. But that's always dependent on how heavy the opponent is. Just go all the way and give it the 120 base power close combat. And the last one is Malamar. Malamar already has access to superpower, and I don't think close combat will necessarily be great on Malamar. Obviously, with Contrary, what it allows it to do is it will give it a +1 defense and +1 special defense when going for it. But one of the ways that Malamar actually functions is because it abuses superpower to get the attack and defense raises in one. So I don't think this will necessarily be something crazy for Malamar. If it did end up getting it, I think superpower would still be ran more, but it is a legitimate option. Now, the next one of technical records that I want to talk about that I thought was really cool is Nasty Plot. And Nasty Plot is something that I thought that Gengar and Hydreigon should have had for the longest time, but just don't. And I do think that if Gengar gets Nasty Plot, it's going to be higher on that list that I made yesterday about like the top 14 Pokemon. Imagine this thing as a breaker with Nasty Plot, Shadow Ball, Focus Blast, and Sludge. Yo, if it gets Nasty Plot, I don't even need to use Focus Blast. I mean, Hidden Power Fighting. I ain't trying to miss. I ain't trying to miss at all. But yeah, I think Gengar would be absolutely devastating with Nasty Plot. And you know, a lot of people are worried about Toxapex, Ferrothorn, defensive cores. They call me Nasty Plot Gengar. Same thing with Hydreigon. Imagine like a Nasty Plot Roost set with this bad boy. All you need is Nasty Plot, Dark Pulse, Roost. Your last move could be whatever it wants to be, man. It don't even matter. Flash Cannon for fairies, Surf, Focus Blast, whatever you want. Hydreigon and Nasty Plot. I feel like Hydreigon and Gengar are really mischievous looking Pokemon. They kind of deserve Nasty Plot. I do think they deserve Nasty Plot. So this might actually be the game where we get that. I also thought Rotom would be pretty cool with Nasty Plot because a lot of ghost types get Nasty Plot. Miss Magius, Yamaska's Evolution, Pythagoras, and also there's a few others that come to mind. So I always thought that Rotom would be pretty cool if it got Nasty Plot. And the main reason I thought Rotom would be cool is because not only does it open up Nasty Plot to Rotom itself, but it also opens up Nasty Plot to all the Rotom forms. Fan, Frost, Heat, Cut, and Wash. And big, imagine Rotom Wash with Nasty Plot, Thunderbolt, Hydro Pump. All you need is Pain Pleasure on the move or Hidden Power coverage of choice. Hidden Power Fire could be ran if you want to deal with Ferrothorn or something like that. I just thought that'd be really cool. Again, most of these are like wishful thinking. I think Gengar would be probably the most broken next to Hydreigon. But if Rotom got it, that would mean that all the Rotoms would have it, and that'd be sick. I also thought that Frostlash and Chandelure coming to mind would be pretty cool. Chandelure already has access to Combine, obviously, and Frostlash doesn't really make use of much of that. Doesn't really have the best special attack stat, but I mean, when you're doubling it with Nasty Plot, does it really matter? And the next one that came to mind was Dragon Dance. Dragon Dance is also now a technical record, and unfortunately, this is kind of sucks because you know Garchomp isn't in the game. Imagine us finally having a game where Garchomp got Dragon Dance. That would have been sick. And these are kind of the notable dragons. Obviously, there's potentially more dragons coming with the new Pokemon, but Dramper and Turtonator getting Dragon Dance wouldn't really make a difference. This thing is base 36 speed. Turtonator has Shell Smash if it wants to try and abuse anything. I thought that Zweilous would be pretty cool though because of the fact that it has Hustle ability. And obviously if Zweilous got Dragon Dance, that would also give it to Hydreigon as well. Imagine they gave Hydreigon both Nasty Plot and Dragon Dance this one. And then Goodra is the last one, and Goodra is interesting because as a pseudo, it's kind of like, but it has a great move pool. It has a great physical and special move pool. So Dragon Dance is not terrible on this Pokemon, and respectable base 100 attack as well. Now there are a few more technical records and TMs that I'm going to just be naming, and I just want to have your thoughts on this. Not necessarily I'm giving a new Pokemon, but a few TMs that are around is Mystical Fire. So that's no longer going to be, you know, the move of Delphox, but even though you know Miss Magius learned it too, so Mystical Fire is pretty cool. That can be pretty interesting for fire. For most fire types in the tier. Obviously, that lowers your special attack if you guys didn't know. A few more TMs that are interesting. Whirlpool could be pretty cool. It would allow trapping. Like, basically, it stops your opponent from switching out. So you could do something with that with like Perish Song on certain Pokemon. Ice Spear and Rock Blast also became TMs according to this list. And that is interesting too. I don't know what can really abuse that as much, but I mean, getting ice moves in anything's arsenal isn't terrible. One thing that comes to mind is Lapras, which is also a Pokemon that has access to Dragon Dance, but like it doesn't learn Icicle Crash or Ice Punch or whatever other ice physical move. Its best ice physical moves, I believe, are Ice Shard and Avalanche. And Avalanche, if you guys didn't know, it makes you go last. So if you Dragon Dance to raise your speed, now you're going last. Not the best. So I think that Ice Spear could be pretty cool on that. And again, feel free guys to tell me your thoughts on this and what you think, Pokemon that could get it. few other technical records that I also thought were interesting was Toxic Spikes. Some poison types don't have access to Toxic Spikes, so I think that that would be a pretty cool one, like a Toxicroak, or maybe an offensive Toxicroak with Toxic Spikes or something like that. Of course, another one is also Stored Power, and that is a very, very interesting one. I don't know how I feel about that one. I think that's kind of broken. I feel like Stored Power on any Combine Mon can potentially be busted, but maybe that's something we need in this metagame. Who knows? Darkest Lariat not being Incineror's signature move is also a technical record. Though I think a lot of Dark types will opt to run Knockoff anyway, just because Knockoff is such a great move. Boosted in power and gets rid of your opponent's item. Pollen Puff is also a new one that's pretty cool too. You can use that over Bug Buzz. And just looking at a few more. I don't want to spoil like anything completely new, but Leaf Blade and Power Whip as well. Leaf Blade is interesting. It's a really strong grass type attack that has a chance to crit. So I like that. I like that a lot for potentially grass types in the tier, or even just Swords Dance users in itself. And if there's anything else, Agility is here. Maybe that could be cool for some sweepers. I see Hurricane and Scald. But yeah, those are I think the main ones that I wanted to talk about. Just trying to see just one last look if there's anything else interesting. No, a lot of the other ones are kind of standard. There's a Razor Shell TM. I feel like Liquidation is something you'd rather have. So there's still a U-turn TM, a Phantom Force TM, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I think that's about it, what I want to talk about. But guys, feel free to let me know your thoughts. I'm pretty excited about Rapid Spin's buff. I think Rapid Spin's buff is incredible. You just made Excadrill even better than what I thought it would be, right? You just buffed it. And of course, there'll be new Pokemon in the tier that have access to it. Obviously, I already said that Eldegoss is a Pokemon that does have access to Rapid Spin because we did see that when someone was playing the game. And it's the only reason why we know this information, the fact that you can get a speed boost from that. And Close Combat being spread. Obviously, I only put fighting types here for the most part, and then a few, outside picks. But there are plenty of new Pokemon that might have access to that too. But yeah, guys, feel free to let me know your thoughts. Which ones would you like to see? Truthfully though, I don't like the idea of technical records. I love that they abolished the... And I don't know 100% how they work, so I could be a little bit off with things, right? I could be off when I'm talking about it, but I don't like the idea of me using a TM and then breaking again, right? We've already gone forward. Why are we going back with that? But again, if they're easy to get or they're replaceable, or you can just buy them again, I guess it'll be fine. Again, I haven't played the game, so I have no idea how they work, right? But yeah. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe. I can't wait to give you guys another video tomorrow. Feel free to let me know what you want me to talk about. I'm not talking about stats on any of the new Pokemon. Don't ask for that. I'll be doing moveset guides, Wi-Fi battles, showdown lives, all that stuff featuring everything once things are officially out. But I think that's all I have to say. I will see you guys next time. Goodbye, my friends.